Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our tuition assistance webinar. We are glad everyone's here today. And before we get started, I'd just like to go over a few housekeeping items. Everyone's lines have been muted when they've joined the webinar. Just be aware that if you do have a webcam attached to your laptop, your phone, or whatever device you're connecting with, it will likely turn on automatically. So feel free to turn off that webcam. You can see us, we don't need to see you. We're happy to see you, but we don't have to have that on. If you wish to remain anonymous, please do not add your name when logging into the meeting. If you've already signed in with your name, you can exit the meeting and rejoin at this time and then not provide your name. So don't worry, we still have a couple minutes before we get started. So if you need to log back out and log in, please do so now. The webinar will last approximately 45 minutes with a Q&A session at the end. Please submit your questions using the Zoom chat feature and selecting Shelley's name as the chat recipient. It will be displayed as Montgomery S. The webinar will be recorded and shared with participants. All right, so let's get started, everyone. Welcome. I want to introduce everyone to Shelley Montgomery, our Director of Tuition Assistance. She has 25 years of educational experience at both the secondary school and collegiate level, including 15 years here at ESD. Shelley has had the opportunity to work with families as they explore the best educational fit for their children. As a parent of two sons who have received tuition assistance at an independent school, Shelley knows the tuition assistance process can be overwhelming, but wants to help you understand it's actually easier than you think. When asked what she likes most about her role at ESD, Shelley was quick to say that she's passionate about tuition assistance because she has seen the impact an independent school education can have on changing the course of a student's life. Shelley says it can propel them to reach and achieve their dreams. The experiences and opportunities that an independent school can provide are immeasurable. So we have a lot of great information to share with you today. So at this time, I would like to hand it over to Shelley.
Terrific. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Shelley Montgomery, and I'm excited to have you all joining us today for our first ever webinar here at the Episcopal School of Dallas regarding tuition assistance. I do also want to let you know I do have some members of my tuition assistance committee in here with me as well, so that we can be sure to answer all of your questions at the end of our webinar. Wanted to go through a quick agenda of what we will be covering during this webinar. We're really going to start with the basics, and in each section we're going to get a little more specific about what may be applicable to the tuition assistance process. So we hope that as we go from broad information to more specific information, it will help you through the tuition assistance process. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step is the basics of tuition assistance. A brief definition of tuition assistance is a grant, not a loan, that is offered to qualifying families based on financial need. As we go through this presentation, you may hear me kind of interchange different terminology, tuition assistance and financial aid. As you're looking at a variety of schools in the Dallas area, you may be finding that some of them call their program the financial aid program. We have found that we prefer the tuition assistance program in all of our materials as well as our communications with families. We also may interchange information about grant versus award. So again, tuition assistance is a grant, not a loan, given to qualifying families based on a financial need to help offset the cost of an ESD education. As a grant, this does not have to be repaid to ESD. Families who have students entering pre-kindergarten through 12th grade are eligible to apply for our need-based assistance program. The majority of our tuition assistance funds are awarded to students in grades 5 through 12, but that is based on tuition and fee costs are more expensive for our middle and upper school grade levels versus our lower school grade levels. A little bit about our philosophy here at ESD. ESD's priority in awarding tuition assistance funds is to our current families. This also does include any of our current families who may be applying for tuition assistance for the first time. We find a lot of times families may join us not needing tuition assistance, but as the years go on, there may be a change in circumstances. There could be a change in someone's health in your family. You may be caring for an elderly parent. So many times we have families who come into our process even after they've been at ESD for a few years and may actually cycle off our process as well. So it is a very fluid process that does happen each year. So families will be applying for tuition assistance on a yearly basis. After our initial funds are awarded to our current families, our remaining funds will be allocated to new students who are extended an offer of admission during our application process. If there are no significant changes in your family's financial circumstances, we do hope to continue your assistance at the same level each year. We want to be sure that we see your student through graduation, and that is one of our goals. As you can see from the screen, we have a few facts that are important to share. Some stats from our current school year. Our average tuition assistance award for this year was a little over $19,000. We awarded over $3.7 million to 17% of our student body. The average household income for families receiving assistance for the current year is $110,000. This year, over 41% of our tuition assistance awards were over $10,000, and 49% were over $20,000. We feel like we have a very generous tuition assistance program here at ESD. Some interesting facts for those of you who are currently going through our application process and would be applying for tuition assistance as a new student. For the current school year, we actually awarded over $731,000 to approximately 51 new students who were offered admission for the current school year. That averages out to almost $14,000 an award. So if you are a prospective family going through our application process, we want to let you know that you are a priority as well. This year, we did also award over $3 million to our returning students. So we do encourage you to be a part of our tuition assistance process if you feel that would be a benefit to your family. I want to go through a couple of myths that we get a lot of questions about as families go through our tuition assistance process. We do get questions about whether ESD offers athletic scholarships. We do not offer athletic scholarships. All of our scholarships do have a need-based component. I also know that several schools or families inquire about merit scholarships. We do not offer any just merit scholarships either. So again, all of our scholarships have a need-based component. Work study programs. If some of you have students who may be attending a college or university, and part of their tuition assistance package does include a work study program, we do not offer that here at ESD. So students will not have the opportunity to work on campus as part of their tuition assistance award. Full rides. There are a lot of times when families may ask us, do you offer a full ride to ESD? Tuition assistance at ESD is not intended to cover 100% of the cost of tuition and required fees. All of our families are expected to contribute towards the cost of an ESD education. Another myth is community perception. A lot of families feel like they or their students will be labeled as tuition assistance recipients, and that they might be labeled by faculty or staff or other families on our campus. Please know that all tuition assistance information will be treated as highly confidential. Only our tuition assistance committee will see this information, and only the committee and the business office will see the award. Division heads and faculty members are not privy to any financial materials, nor are they aware of which families will be applying for tuition assistance. Also, as we're going through our application process, many families are concerned about letting us know if they are interested in our tuition assistance process because they think that this may decrease their chances of being admitted. Please know that our admission committee is not aware of any of our students who would be applying for tuition assistance for the upcoming school year. Our admission committee and our tuition assistance committees are made up of separate people, and they do not overlap. So we want to be sure that you know that that information, again, is very confidential. And finally, one question that I get quite often is there an income threshold by which you would not be eligible for tuition assistance? There is not an income level at which you are not eligible to apply for tuition assistance. If you feel like the cost of attending ESD would be a stretch for your family based on your income, we do encourage you to apply through our tuition assistance program. Next, let's talk a little bit about what's covered through tuition assistance. So through our tuition assistance awards, the amount of money that you receive helps to cover costs towards basic tuition and fees, lunch, and for some of our students, it may help to cover textbooks as well. What will not be covered through our tuition assistance program as far as the initial award would be things like uniforms, fees for optional clubs, activities, and athletics, and textbooks for grades 5 through 12. We do offer what is called a non-tuition assistance program that can help to fund some of these expenses that are above and beyond base tuition and required fees. So let's talk a little bit about what's not covered in the initial tuition assistance award. We are increasingly aware that financial resources are necessary to attend our school beyond the cost of tuition. So we do have what we call a non-tuition assistance program. So some examples of school-related expenses that are not included in your initial tuition assistance award could be things like school supplies. You may need something to help with your AP art show. You may need framing done. You might need specific supplies for a specific class. Field trips. We have some terrific field trips at ESD. Some of those are local and some of those are out of state and even international. We do offer assistance for our tuition assistance students to be able to participate in those programs. There are also times when a student may be in need of tutoring. We do offer assistance to help offset the cost of that, as well as when your student reaches that age that they may be applying for college as a senior and they need help with college application fees or even SAT or ACT prep work. Please know that we cover, at non-tuition assistance, we cover the same percentage at which we cover you for tuition. So for instance, if your family receives 50% assistance on required tuition and fees, then we would be happy to cover 50% of any non-tuition assistance costs. Other expenses that may exist would be athletic-related expenses. We are very blessed here at ESD that our Booster Club helps to fund our assistance for athletic-related expenses. Some of those expenses could include mandatory fees or assessments to participate in that particular sport, equipment, locker signs, also any travel costs that may be associated with SPC, which is the Southwest Preparatory Conference, our athletic conference, or meals that may be needed as you travel for those events. We also have the opportunity to help our lower school student athletes. We have a sports fellowship program that we have funds to help offset the registration fees for students to participate with their classmates in YMCA athletics. Next, we'd like to go through the timelines and deadlines of our tuition assistance process. So for those of you who are currently going through the application process here at ESD, we hope that you have reached out to myself to let us know that you are interested in applying for tuition assistance. If you have not yet done so, please feel free to contact me via email or phone to let me know that you are interested in our tuition assistance program. It's definitely not too late. Once you let us know that you are interested in our tuition assistance process, we will mark your student's application as a tuition assistance applicant, and this will create a step called the tuition assistance step, which will appear in your Ravenna dashboard. This will link families to the online tuition application via SSS, which stands for School and Student Services, which is our online application for tuition assistance. The great part about going through the link in Ravenna, it will take all of your demographic information from Ravenna and enter that into your tuition assistance application. The application deadline for new families is February the 15th. This is the deadline for tuition assistance application and all supporting documentation to be uploaded directly to SSS. In early March, tuition assistance award notifications will be released to all families who have completed the application process. Tuition assistance grant information will be released with admission decisions in your Ravenna dashboard. All families who were offered a place for admission, as well as a tuition assistance award, you will have 2 weeks after we release our decisions for you to accept or decline our offer of admission and tuition assistance, and that will happen mid-March. For many of you joining us as new families for the upcoming school year, we know that you will be reapplying for tuition assistance each year, and our timeline for our current families is a little bit different. Our timeline for current families actually starts in December of each year. So our application deadline for tuition assistance for the following year as a current family would be December 1st. And this is the deadline for all tuition assistance application material and supporting documents to be submitted to SSS. For our current families, we will be releasing tuition assistance awards during our re-enrollment process, which starts for us on February 1st and ends typically mid-February around the 15th of February. All of our current families will need to accept their tuition assistance award by March 1st so that we can make sure the business office is aware of the award that you received and can apply that to your tuition balance for the upcoming school year. Let's talk a little bit about the application process and what are the steps necessary to complete an application for tuition assistance. I'm going to talk about a few important terms as we're going through the process just to make you familiar with those terms. The first one would be SSS, which stands for School and Student Services. This is, again, a third-party company that works with us on evaluating all of our tuition assistance applicants. Again, everything will be submitted online directly to them. And most of the schools in the Dallas area do use SSS for their tuition assistance or financial aid process. If you are applying at multiple schools for both admission and for tuition assistance, please know that the offer of assistance you may receive from each school can vary by each school. The PFS, or Parent Financial Statement. This is a form that you will fill out through SSS that gives us a really in-depth picture of your monthly income and monthly expenses. It also lets us know things such as assets and debts that you may have. So that can be anything from asking about your home, your cars, your vacations. It may also ask if you have memberships in particular clubs. It will ask about medical expenses. It'll ask about consumer debt. So it is a pretty entailed form that you will fill out, but it is most helpful as we're going through our tuition assistance evaluation. And finally, you're going to hear from a lot of people, demonstrated need. So our tuition assistance committee utilizes all of the data provided through the PFS, or the Parent Financial Statement, and tax documents submitted and verified by SSS to determine a family's demonstrated need. Demonstrated need is the difference between the cost of an education at ESD and a family's expected contribution to that education. Next, let's talk about required documents that you will need to submit via SSS. The first, again, will be the PFS, or the Parent Financial Statement. We'll need 1040 forms with all related schedules for the past 2 years and W-2 forms. So for those of you who are applying to be new students for the 2019-2020 school year, this will include your 2017 and your 2018 tax forms. While we know the deadline for filing your taxes is not until April, you will be expected to have this information complete by the February 15th deadline. For our families who are returning to ESD, We actually will go with a December 1st deadline with the prior year verification on tax information. So again, for our current families who are reapplying for assistance for the 2019-2020 school year, we will be looking at their 2016 and 2017 tax information. The next form that will be needed would be the IRS Form 4506. This is a request for a transcript of a tax return. While you're providing us your 2017 and 2018 tax forms, this form will let us be able to go back for prior tax returns if those are needed. We also would be looking for an IRS Form 1098-T if it applies to your family. For several of you, you may have students who are attending a college or university and may be receiving assistance at that level. This will let us know the amount of assistance that your student is receiving at the collegiate level. The IRS Form 1098-T can be retrieved from your current university or college where your student is enrolled. And the IRS Form 4506, you can actually download that form from the IRS website. Please note, again, all of this information should be submitted directly to SSS. We ask that you not send that information to ESD directly. Please use SSS. As our Tuition Assistance Committee is reviewing applications, there are a few special circumstances that we find in our applicants. First, we find that many of our parents are self-employed. They have a variety of businesses, which could be small, a startup business, or a medium-sized business. And a lot of times, depending on the economy, they can be directly impacted by that. We will look closely at the information you provide about the profitability of your business. Divorced parents. In a divorce situation, both parents are required to submit tuition assistance application materials. So each of you are able to submit that information, and we will need all the documentation of required documents from both parents in a divorce situation. As I mentioned before, we find a lot of times that our families are taking care of elderly parents. This was not necessarily something that many of our families had planned for or even budgeted for. So this is something that definitely we take into consideration in the application process is taking care of an elderly parent. We also look at non-working parents. For many parents, they may be at home caring again for an elderly parent or maybe caring for a young child that is not yet at school age. And we understand that, and for many families, economically, it's better for the parent not to work and to stay home and care for someone at home. If all of your children are in school and you're not caring for any elderly parent and you are not working, we do impute a salary for that non-working parent as we're evaluating your tuition assistance application. Another thing that we look at during our evaluation of your application is the number of children in tuition charging schools. This could be at any level. This could be at the secondary level, or it could be also at the college or university level. We do take into consideration the number of children that you have in tuition charging schools. And finally, medical expenses. We do know, again, sometimes things happen in life that we're just not quite prepared for. And we want to be sure that we take into account unexpected medical expenses that may arise for your family. A few tips on completing the tuition assistance process. Number one, be thorough, especially on that parent financial statement. We ask that you answer the questions to the best of your ability and don't leave anything blank. As honest as you can be about what your financial situation is, the more that our committee is able to look at that and see how we can possibly help your family with a grant. Number two, communicate. I know a lot of times it's sometimes tough for families to ask for assistance, but we ask that you communicate. And also, we understand things change. We know that we're taking a snapshot of your financial situation one time during the year, and 6 months later, something else can happen, something can change. If you don't let us know what happened or what's changed, we can't help. My office and the business office work very close together, so we can make sure that we're helping our families who may have unusual or extenuating circumstances that have come up during the school year. Know, again, number 3, know that the expectation is all families contribute something towards the cost of an ESD education. And this does mean a financial contribution. We have some awesome tuition assistance families who do help us with volunteering, are great volunteers at our school. Unfortunately, we're not able to make that part of the tuition assistance package, but do know that every family will contribute monetarily towards an ESD education. I would encourage you, before you sit down to fill out that parent financial statement, gather all your information first. So make sure you have your tax forms, your W-2s, any of that information. You can always go in to SSS and get a sneak peek at the parent financial statement just to see what information is going to be asked. But it's helpful before you start filling it out to have all that information together with you. It'll make the application process go much smoother. Adhere to the deadlines. Make sure that you're following those deadlines. We have created those deadlines to allow time for our Tuition Assistance Committee to thoroughly evaluate your application, as well as for us to be sure we have time to ask questions, gather more information, to be sure that we're making the best decision that we can. So please be sure that you're adhering to all deadlines. And finally, be sure that you ask questions. There are no silly questions in this process. It can, again, be daunting. And so sometimes it's hard to, you may not even know what to ask, but you are welcome to contact us anytime, and we are happy to answer any questions that you have during the process. As you're going through the tuition assistance process, there is an application fee for applying for tuition assistance through SSS. But based on a family's income level, you may qualify for a waiver, and you can definitely get more information from SSS about that as well. So now what? You've actually completed the tuition assistance process, and now you're sitting and waiting. So let's talk a little bit about what happens after your application is complete. Once your tuition assistance application is complete, it will be forwarded to our Tuition Assistance Committee for review. Again, adhering to those deadlines ensures that we can quickly get that to our committee and start review. This also allows us time, if our committee has any questions, we'll reach out for clarification, gather more information. We'll have some time to do that. Please know that each year our tuition assistance budget and number of applicants change. We will do our best to distribute funds as equitably as we can. For new students to ESD, tuition assistance decisions are released with admissions decisions. You must accept the funds in order for them to be applied to your student's account. And finally, if the initial offer of assistance does not meet your need, please contact us and we can further discuss the options that may exist for your family. ESD is terrific in that we offer a variety of payment plans to pay the balance, the remaining balance that is due after your grant has been applied to your student's account. We do offer 3 payment options. We do have an option to pay in full, and that tuition will be due on June 1st. We also offer a 2-month payment plan where 60% of the balance due is due on June 1st, and 40% of the remaining 40% will be due on December 1st. We do also offer an 11-month payment plan that starts in June of each year and goes through April. All of our tuition and incidental costs, all those payments will be made through fax, and we will, once you're a new family at ESD, we've got you set up as far as what payment plan you want to be on, as well as what your grant has been applied to your student's account. We will send you a fax invite to be able to set up your fax payments. Please note that all of our tuition assistance families who receive an award are eligible for interest-free tuition payments. So there is no interest charged for our tuition assistance families. There are times when a family may apply for assistance and may not qualify for a grant. Please know that we will work with you to allow you to have the 11-month payment plan, again, interest-free. That is a benefit of going through our tuition assistance process. And we do even have several current families at ESD that don't necessarily apply for a grant each year, but do apply just so they can be sure that they get the 11-month no interest payment plan. Please also know that tuition refund insurance is required for all of our families who are not paying their balance in full. Wanted to give you a couple of additional resources that you can take advantage of after our webinar and throughout the tuition assistance process. Again, I mentioned the School and Student Services, SSS. They have a great website that has webinars, tips to completing the parent financial statement, as well as a step-by-step guide to the tuition assistance process. Also on ESD's website, we do have a great ebook that talks about 5 ways to afford a private school education. We do hope that you'll take advantage of those particular resources throughout the year. And again, our office is always a resource to you as well. This is our time for questions and answers. So if there is anything that possibly we didn't cover that you want to find out more about, or anything that possibly we, again, haven't covered, want some more detailed information, please be sure to use your chat button to see if you can send in the question and answer, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. All right, so I know one question that came in, sometimes we get a question about sibling discounts. Do we offer a discount if you have multiple children that attend ESD? We do not have a sibling discount, so please know that each family, regardless of the number of children you have, will be charged full tuition. For many of you that have multiple children in a tuition charging school, we would encourage you to go through the tuition assistance process. All right, another question. Where do I find the IRS forms you mentioned? So again, the IRS 4506, you can actually go to the government website and download that form directly from IRS. And then the IRS 1098T, the one that talks about any of your assistance that a student might be receiving at the collegiate level, that should be available through the financial aid portal through your student's current university or college. So all of the information, pretty much you will submit again directly there. So the IRS 4506 you'll need to get directly from the IRS, and the 1098T you will need to get from your student's college or university financial aid office. And most of the time, they post that in their financial aid portal. Okay, another question, great question. Tuition assistance will be awarded for a full school year, but is evaluated every 6 months. So, great question. So, the challenge will be, as a new family to ESD, you would be filling out information by February 15th for the 2019-2020 school year. In December of this year, all of our current families, which of course would include new families who are new to us this school year, you would be again reapplying in December. But once you are a current family, that evaluation will only happen once a year. So really, you're going to be reevaluated just that first year at the very beginning, but then you will be not evaluated till the end of every year. All right, let me look. We've got a couple more questions that have come in. If you'll hold on one moment. Oh, there we go. All right. All right, very good. Another question. For an existing student, what happens if I miss the December 1st deadline? I do have special circumstances that exist. So if for some reason you're a current family and you miss the December 1st deadline for an existing family, please feel free to reach out to me, and I'm happy to visit with you more about your specific circumstances. So please be sure, if you're an existing family who hasn't applied yet, please make sure that you reach out to me. All right. Great question. Due to the shutdown, IRS return processing may be delayed. Is there a workaround? If for some reason you find that your return is going to be delayed, if you would please reach out to me. I have a feeling it's going to impact not only ESD, but other schools across the country. So please keep us informed. Again, that lines of communication open is always important. So if you find that there's going to be delay, if you can keep us posted, that would be great, and then we'll work with you individually on each of those. So please reach out to us if for some reason you see that there's going to be a delay due to the government shutdown. All right. I have some great questions. Another question, we haven't received W-2 forms this year, but we'll need to file the tax returns and upload all the forms before February 15th. Is that right? That is correct. Hopefully you can double check if you haven't gotten your W-2 forms. I would definitely double check with your HR department at your current job and just check what their timeline is. And maybe just let them know, hey, we are needing that information by February 15th deadline. If you can let me know if there's going to be a delay. And again, communicate that to us if for some reason you find that you're going to run into something there. So please let us know if for some reason you're not able to do that. All right. So let me see another question. All right. When you're divorced and you have one parent that wants to send the child to a particular school, but maybe the other parent doesn't think that that school is necessary, and they may not want to necessarily contribute. How do you handle that? Well, to be honest, that's going to really have to be between you and your ex, unfortunately. And the school does require that both of you complete the tuition assistance application process. But please note that during our enrollment process at ESD, we do require that both parents sign the enrollment and tuition agreement, but we do have what we call an addendum for fiscal responsibility. So there may be situations where one parent may be responsible for or wants to be responsible for all of the cost of attending ESD. We would have a family fill that out each year, so that was on file with our business office so they could make sure to have that information on file about who should be billed. But again, each of our parents, even in a divorce or a separated situation, would have to sign the enrollment and tuition agreement each year, as well as complete the tuition assistance process. So I hope that, and again, if there's any specific questions related to your family, you're always welcome to reach out to me and let me know. Question, is there any flexibility on timing for self-employed who may not have their K-1s? Again, if you would specifically reach out to me if you're applying for tuition assistance at ESD, any special circumstances that would delay you from meeting our deadlines, if you could please reach out to me individually. I don't want to make assumptions about what may apply to one family versus another. So please make sure that you reach out to me, and we're happy to work with you and work out something that will work for your family. So please make sure that you do that. And just make sure, again, that you are welcome to send any questions privately to clicking on the chat by clicking on Montgomery S versus everyone, so that way I can see your questions. Also, let me make sure that you, at the bottom of the question and answer screen, that you can see my email here at ESD as montgomerys@esdallas.org. You are welcome to email me anytime or give me a phone call, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. A question that, yes, please note that we are recording this webinar, and it will be posted on our tuition assistance page on the ESD website, so you definitely can go back and view that in the future. Another quick question, is the 4506 and 4506T the same? Yes, those would be fine. Either of those forms would be terrific. All right. Any other questions that you might have? Again, if you have some unique circumstances that that you have questions about or want to be sure and visit with someone about, please give me a call or send me an email, and I'm happy to answer those questions. All right. Any other questions that anybody else might have? All right. Well, we appreciate you so much taking the time to attend this webinar, and we hope that you will reach out to us if you have any questions about our tuition assistance process. Again, if you are a current family or a new family going through our application process and you have not contacted me about our tuition assistance application process, please make sure that you do. It is not too late. Our deadline is February 15th. We want to be sure that if you feel like you're going to need some assistance for your child to be able to attend ESD, we want to be sure that we get you that information as quickly as we can so that you can complete that application. All right. Well, we hope that you have a wonderful afternoon. And again, we appreciate you for joining us today.